I cannot believe I'm vlogging from the hospital to have a baby. I'm about to have a contraction. Okay.
Baby boy wasn't doing too good last night.
Bye, sweetheart. I love you. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Jeanine and Amapola Ward.
And my name is Caleb Ward.
In today's video, we are finally sharing our birth story. So if you follow me on Instagram, I kind of alluded that it was a crazy story. It was definitely different than we expected, and at the same time, we feel like God was all over it. We are Christians, so we'll be definitely sharing how we saw the Lord in this whole process. But thankfully, we have a healthy baby, and I'm doing okay. Our son is over here. We're looking at him, and he is literally the best thing ever. We just love him so much.
Yeah, he's a miracle child. I mean, even if you have a birth story that's not, crazy or whatever, like just the fact that you can birth a child, it's like literally a superpower.
It is the coolest thing
women
ever.
have, and it was insane.
It was insane. So we finally want to share that story today because it did not go as planned. And that's kind of what they say. Like, you have your birth quote unquote plan, but really it should be your birth preferences, because when it comes down to it, ultimately all that matters is that you are safe and healthy. Your baby is safe and healthy. And so you can bring a quote unquote plan, but ultimately the Lord and your body is going to decide what happens and when it happens. And so that's kind of what happened in our story today. And then also including some footage from going to the hospital, the whole process. Honestly, we just stopped vlogging because
It got scary.
It got really crazy. And so we just completely forgot to vlog. And so we wanted to share the full story. So it might be long. Get yourself a cup of coffee and let's get into it.
It's baby time.
It's baby time. This is crazy. We're all packed up. This is a little bump. I'm already having like labor symptoms today, which is good. We're gonna go get checked and then see what happens from there, but this is crazy.
Let's go get Duke home.
Whew, 40 weeks, 4 days, almost 5. It's about to be midnight, so 40 weeks and 5 days.
I'm already exhausted.
I know, I'm so tired.
Where do we even begin? Like, we got to start like the week of your due date.
Yeah. Okay. So week of my due date, I was due May 22nd. Our doctor had talked to us about induction, which was something I personally did not want to do. I wanted him to come when he was ready to come. And I also wanted my first time experience just to be something that happened naturally. I wanted my water to break. I wanted to labor at home and then go to the hospital when my body felt ready. But we were like, you know what? We do know that statistically, if you go past 41 weeks, it does increase some health risks. And we talked about this with our doctor a ton, went back and forth, and we were like, you know what, we'll go ahead and just have an induction date on the calendar, but let's just wait and see if the baby comes by himself.
Yeah. And it was really weird. A week of the due date, I was like having horrible dreams, waking up in the middle of the night. I just felt like something was wrong. I had no reason. I mean, you were healthy. He was healthy.
Mm-hmm. From what we thought, yeah.
Yeah. And I just remember feeling just like this eerie feeling on, like, man, I don't think we should go much past your due date.
Yeah. And he would wake up in the middle of the night and he would turn to me and be like, babe, is Duke okay? Is Duke okay? And I would be like, babe, I'm healthy. Everything's fine. Like, we're good. And if I know anything about Caleb, ever since I've known him, he has a very strong gift of discernment. And you just felt like something was possibly wrong, but I didn't feel that.
But I also am naturally more paranoid than you are. And so I was like, I didn't know little man is.
Sorry, he's over here making some grunting noises. We can see him over here. He's sucking on his pacifier. But yeah, I mean, obviously you don't know. And so we went back and forth for honestly 2 weeks about induction or non-induction. We're going to grab him because if we don't, he's just going to be making little noises the whole time.
Okay.
Our little blessing. He also has a blue pacifier, so we're all rocking blue today.
Oh.
If you don't know, we are Christians, and this story definitely has, a lot of faith components to it. And so basically, I had a friend who, you know, if you don't know what the gift of prophecy is, it's basically where you feel like someone has a word for you that the Lord has given them. And my friend Sarah, she has had, I cannot even begin to tell you, over 20 plus prophetic words for me. And one of those was about Duke. And she had a dream and she's like, hey, Jeanine, I randomly had this dream. I saw that Duke came on 5/25/25. And she's like, I don't know if it's true or not, but just, you know, maybe something for you to pray about and think about. And that was 2 weeks prior. So when we were going back and forth between whether we wanted to do an induction or not, I really held on to that dream of like, I think he's going to come on 5/25/25. So what we decided to do, because we didn't want to risk any health issues, because again, our doctor encouraged us to not, you know, go too far past 41 weeks, we decided to schedule an induction the night of the 25th. And that felt safe to me because I was like, well, maybe he'll come naturally by himself on the 25th and we'll just see what happens. So Saturday rolls around, which was the 24th. And we had really been just, again, discussing this whole day of like, man, we're so eager for him to come. And we're just like, we're getting antsy at this point because he was already 40 weeks and 4 days at this point. And Caleb was starting to feel anxious. Like, what if something's not right? And I was also getting at this point like, man, I just want to meet my baby and I'm so uncomfortable. I'm ready to be done being pregnant. And of course, you know, everyone is encouraging me like, he's going to come when he wants to come and just hold on and be patient. And I tried to do everything like naturally to induce him. I ate all the foods. I did curb walking. I did spicy meals. I did all of that the day before and no signs of anything. We were sitting on our living room couch and we get a call from the hospital. The hospital says, hey, we know it's Saturday, but we have a hospital bed open if you want to do an induction now. And you would have to come in at midnight tonight. So that was still technically the 25th, but they were like, you can get the process started. And honestly, it was super weird because we got this phone call and we looked at each other and like, honestly, we just started smiling. We were like, wait, and we got so excited. And I felt like peace come over me and I felt really happy. Like I wasn't scared. I wasn't like, no, I don't want to do that. Like I looked at Caleb and we both were like, I think we should do this. So I told the nurse, hey, let me call you back. I'm going to call my doula and I'm also going to, I didn't say this to her, but I was like, I'm going to go pray about this and I'll call you back. So we basically wait about an hour, called my doula, you know, Caleb and I discussed everything of just like, okay, is this what we want to do? And of course I still battled. I was like, I really want him to come by himself. And I was still kind of holding on to this dream that my friend had. And I said, you know, I'm going to go spend time with the Lord and I'm going to go see what God says about this. I go up into my room, get on my hands and my knees. I'm just praying and I'm journaling and I'm just spending time with the Lord. And honestly, I felt peace about it. And I said, you know what? I'm ready. I feel like I have peace about this and let's go ahead and do it. Thankfully, we had our bags already packed because we had been waiting for this baby for 2 weeks already. Yeah. So
but we had an induction scheduled on Sunday.
Sunday night, yeah.
Sunday night, and
Yeah.
I might have missed that, but it was weird. In the moment I was like, I don't know why. I just think we need to go tonight, and so
Caleb had a really strong feeling that we should go that night. And again, I was still wrestling about it just because, again, I did not have induction on my plan. But again, when we prayed about it and chatted with my doula, we all collectively were like, we feel good about this. So pack our bags. I'm preparing as much as I can because I had a couple hours to just prepare okay, we'll probably be gone for 2 days, 3 days. And we got into the car, got to the hospital, and I started to get really, really anxious and really nervous. And I honestly started crying because I was like, this isn't what I wanted. I didn't want an induction. And I was just feeling a little, I think, even disappointed because I had this vision in my head of my water breaking at the house and then laboring overnight and then us waking up the next day and being like, let's go to the hospital. But it was so funny, you guys. We get to the hospital, we start the induction process, and they told us like, hey, we can check you first. We can even see if you're first dilated. You don't have to like start this if you don't want. We can first see if you've even progressed at all, and you can decide if you want to do this or not. So we were like, let's do that. Let's go. Let's see if I'm even dilated, and let's see if like my body is going to do this naturally. So I get my hospital gown on, and I literally just change into my hospital gown. And all of a sudden, whoosh, my water breaks. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And it's literally dripping down my legs. And I'm like, what in the world? So I go
in front of the child.
Well, it was him who did it. So I grabbed my nurse and I'm like, I think my water just broke. And she's like, okay, let me go grab a test. And so she like grabs this test to see if it's amniotic fluid. And she's like, oh my gosh, your water broke. And she's like, he's going to come on his own naturally. Like, this is so cool. And I was like, praise God. And so it just felt like the coolest God wink for me.
We were already there, so it just helped.
Yeah, it was perfect because
Everything.
you don't want your water to be broken and the baby not come within 24 hours because that risks infections. And so it was really cool because we were already there. We hadn't done any medication or anything, and my water just naturally broke itself. And so literally what I wanted to happen happened. Okay, good morning, guys. I cannot believe I'm vlogging from the hospital to have a baby. So crazy. Caleb's getting his coffee right now. I'm all hooked up. All the monitors on me. My water broke last night, which was a huge blessing because that obviously means my body is like ready to go. I'm not that dilated yet. So they're gonna maybe put me on some Pitocin, which I didn't really want to do, but after talking to the doctor, I was like, okay, this could be helpful just to get things going a little bit. Otherwise, like, I could be, here for a very long time. My first sleep here was pretty rough because I was having contractions the whole night. And they had me sleep on one side, which normally I sleep back and forth a ton, and I couldn't flop. So I was pretty uncomfortable. And the contractions, I was having to do what my doula taught me, just breathing through them because it was pretty painful.
Your water breaks, and they're like, okay, you guys go to bed.
Right.
Hopefully tomorrow morning you'll be more dilated, and then we can start the whole process. And then they came in at like 2 a.m. or 3 a.m.
Yes, I forgot about this. They came in at about 2 a.m. and I was feeling contractions all through the night. And the nurse comes in and I'm sleeping on my side, and she's like, okay, well, Duke doesn't like that position, and she's tracking his heart rate. She's tracking, all the things on me, all my contractions. She's like, let's try a different position. So I'm like, okay, flip to the other side. And if you've been pregnant, flipping to the other side is very difficult. And so I flipped to the other side. She comes back in 30 minutes and she's like, Duke doesn't like that either. And so
what they mean by that is Duke was having heart decelerations.
Yeah.
So basically when you have contractions, the baby's getting compressed. And later we found out that Duke, I guess the oxygen stores that he's supposed to be, that he can go into when those contractions happening, something was going wrong. So his heart was decelerating when Jeanine was having her contractions, which was slowing his heart rate down.
Like 5:20 a.m. We're so tired, but we keep getting woken up. I'm praying we meet baby tomorrow. My contractions are picking up and they are very painful, even at this stage, which is crazy. So anyway, my doula is going to get here tomorrow, and I'm just praying this process goes smoothly.
Which is dangerous if that happens, I guess, too much.
Right, and at the time we didn't think anything of it because the nurse didn't seem like uber concerned about it, but she was obviously concerned enough where she kind of kept coming in and trying to change my position.
They thought maybe if they moved Jeanine to a different position, maybe he was, wrapped, or he
was pushing against the
umbilical
cord, or something was preventing him from getting the nutrients he needed.
No, the oxygen, I think.
The oxygen he needed, yeah.
Also, the doctors told us and nurses told us so much stuff. So if we butcher a few of the, terminologies
verbiage
or whatever, and if you're a nurse or doctor and you're like, wait, that doesn't make sense, just give us grace.
Sorry, yeah, we're not.
So much happened, we might not say everything correctly.
Yeah.
But that's what happened.
Yes. Okay, so yeah, basically she kept coming in and being like, he doesn't like his positions, his heart is decelerating. So she had me change positions 3 times to where I finally ended up sitting on my back. And then she had me, 4 times. And then I ended up going where my head was on my hands and my butt was up in the air. And that was the only position that Duke liked.
Well, they also gave you medication to stop the contractions for a little bit.
And that too. So because his heart was decelerating so much, they were like, we're going to try to actually slow down these contractions because he's not liking this. And that's when I think we started to kind of be like, okay, is this something we need to be concerned about? And this nurse didn't really tell us anything we need to be concerned about, right?
They weren't trying to freak us out. I think later they were more blunt with us of like what was actually happening. And so we wake up in the morning and Janine's doing better. The contractions, you get to a dilation of about 5 around noon.
Morning.
Hello.
We're eating breakfast, and guys, I'll be honest with you. That looks like gas. Look how good this breakfast looks.
Oh, you're saying that looks good, not bad?
Yeah, no, it looks great. Honestly, we should come to the hospital more often.
Let's have more babies.
Are you doing your makeup?
Yeah, I took it all off last night, and I want to look a little cute today.
And so now she's starting to feel some contractions. Baby boy wasn't doing too good last night, but he's getting a little better. I think he had some, I guess the oxygen, he was having a hard time when Janine's contractions would get really bad. His oxygen levels or something in the placenta, I don't really know. They said something. But he's doing better now, and so we're thinking he's going to come tonight. So.
Prayer. Let's pray he comes tonight. I think he will come tonight. We got a whole day.
You want to take the car?
I vlogged already earlier.
Okay. Did you already say that? How you feeling?
It hurts so bad, and I'm only 5 centimeters dilated, and I'm like, props to anyone that does this up to 10 without an epidural. I don't have an epidural yet, but I am like, whoa. This is my support system right here. And this is like the craziest experience we've ever done.
It's insane, yeah.
Oh, hello. What does that mean?
It means the baby's coming.
Oh man, yeah, I was saying at 5 centimeters, I'm already like, holy crap. It's like insane period cramps, like times 10.
You're doing so good though.
Thank you, baby.
So good.
His heart rate's doing good. So it looked like we were about to like have the baby in a few hours.
Yeah. So I didn't do an epidural or anything at this point. So I'm starting to get insane contractions. And I have a doula, so she told me, hey, let me know when you're dilated to 5 or 6 centimeters and I'm going to come. So finally I get to 5. I progressed. So they checked me. I went to 3 and then I went to 5. And then I started to really start to feel some pain. Mm-hmm. Caleb, my doula, thankfully, she taught him all the things. He's pushing on my back. I'm sitting on the bouncy ball.
My arms were sore the next day.
Yeah. I mean, my body was so sore from having these contractions. So my doula comes, and I'm going through the full labor process. No epidural, screaming, breathing, using all the tools that she gave me, my breath work. I have these little hand pressure point things, acupressure things. Caleb is pushing on my back. We have worship music going. It was a really, honestly, cool experience. I'm really glad I got to go through that because I said I wanted to feel the contractions and I wanted to feel the pain as long as I could sustain it. And if I decided to get an epidural, I wasn't going to be mad at myself. But I wanted to go through that process.
Yeah. And then you did all that work. It was 3 o'clock. You had been having these contractions for a few hours. So we're thinking, okay, maybe you're probably 7 centimeters or 8 centimeters dilated.
Because it was gnarly. Like, I have never felt pain like that in my life. I mean, I look back at the videos and I almost can't even look at them. It was insane. So we thought surely because of the pain I was having, and I was in this for several hours, we were like, surely we're a 7 or an 8 now. And they came in and they checked me and they were like, you're still stuck at 6 centimeters. And I got so discouraged and I just wasn't progressing past 6 centimeters.
We did another 3 hours of that. So 6 o'clock rolled around. Mm-hmm. A couple things went wrong. Duke's heart deceleration started again. So they were like, okay, when her contractions are happening, Duke's heart is decelerating again. And so they were like, okay, maybe if we do an epidural, we get your body relaxed, we move you to a different position, and let's start Pitocin at like a 1, like a very small dosage of Pitocin. Because she was stuck for so long, but they were also like, okay, he can't keep having these heart decelerations, or we're gonna have to do a C-section, or if we can get Pitocin going, maybe we can just get him out.
Just get him out, yeah. Which again, wasn't on my birth plan. Like I didn't really want to do Pitocin, but I just ultimately was like, okay, like let's try to speed this up, because I had already been in labor from basically 2 a.m. till 6 p.m., 5:30, 6 p.m. at this point. And the contractions were getting so painful that I finally, like, I had these 3 contractions that I finally looked at Caleb and I was like, I give up. I cannot do this any longer. Give me the dang epidural. I've been in labor for a long time, and I think I'm probably 7 centimeters.
7 or 8.
And I've decided I'm going to be getting an epidural and have no regrets. I have pushed myself this far. This is the hardest thing I've ever done. This is so insane. Women are amazing, truly. But I've decided I'm giving myself an epidural. I'm about to have a contraction. Okay. So team comes in, put me on the epidural, and I finally was like, oh my gosh, I can breathe. Because every 2 minutes they were coming and I was just dreading it. I was like preparing, like, oh my gosh, I have to do this again. And, so it was crazy.
And they gave you medication to actually stop their contractions, to give Duke his heart a break again. And so that's when they gave Jeanine an epidural, and I noticed just kind of a shift in the nurses and doctors' energy. Just I could tell something was kind of wrong. I don't think we really knew what even heart rate decelerations were and everything with that. And I've heard it's normal-ish, but just we didn't know the severity of, okay, what does that actually mean? Is that normal? And I asked one of the nurses, and I was like, because it was this weird thing of they didn't want to tell us what to do, and the doctor later told us, like, she wasn't bad enough, or Duke wasn't bad enough to make you guys get a C-section, but it was progressing into that place where you guys were teetering the line of like, okay, you guys are eventually going to have to do a C-section.
Yeah.
And so
basically I get the epidural, and the doctor kind of comes in. He's like, okay, hey, we can either jack up your Pitocin or wait, a couple hours and see if you progress. And he recommended that I wait 2 more hours and see if my body progressed on an epidural. Again, I did not progress. I was stuck at 6 centimeters. So it's now 8 p.m. at this point, and I'm just getting so discouraged.
You've been stuck for 8 hours?
Hours, yeah. I just was not progressing, and I am starting to get very emotional because I'm just like, why is my body, not progressing? Like, why is this not happening? And we're also starting to go back and forth and be like, okay, what options do we have? And so they gave us a small dose of Pitocin. That he did not like that. They're like, let's stop these again. They put me in another position for 30 minutes where my butt was up in the air. It was the only position Duke liked. And I'm starting to hear, them say C-section. And I'm like starting to get really sad because, again, that was just not what I wanted. And I just had this idea. I'll be pushing him out. Not that a C-section is bad. It's just not personally what I wanted to do, especially for my first. And so time starts going by. We get a new nurse. And this was the nurse that kind of made us really reconsider some things because she seemed so concerned. And honestly, like, I'm out of it. I am kind of looking and deferring to my doula and Caleb at this point because I'm very emotional. I am so dang tired. My body has gone through so much. I mean, I literally went through active labor and all these contractions for hours, and I'm just exhausted at this point. And so this nurse is the one who's tracking his heart rate. And Caleb, you can kind of say where you saw her face and
yeah, I just was just like, hey, your energy looks off. Because at this moment, the doctors and nurses were being pretty chill. They were just like, yeah, he's not liking this position. It was never like he's in trouble or this is really concerning. But this nurse, I could tell was like a little more like, okay, this is something's up here.
I think she like wore it more on her face probably.
Yeah. And so some time went by, and I remember looking at the nurse and I was like, hey, like, do you think that we're going to actually be able to, is this baby going to come out, essentially? And she was just like, she didn't give me much of an answer. And then that's when the doctor comes in.
Okay, so we haven't seen our doctor in like a couple hours. And again, I'm not progressing. Doctor comes through the door, and I am like just really emotional at this point. I'm exhausted, like I said. And he's just like, all right, we got 3 options. C-section, jack at the Pitocin and yank the baby out. Or number 3, we just wait and see if he comes by himself. And I'm just like, how do you do? And we didn't know like what to do because we had gotten 3 options. And we're like, well, what do we do? And he very much was like, I don't think this baby is going to come the way you think it's going to come. He's like, I really strongly think you're going to most likely have a C-section. But what we can do is we can put you on like a level 6 Pitocin, which, might I add, we were on a 1 before. And he's like, just jack it up and yank this baby out. Okay, so basically the doctor leaves and he said, I'll give you some time to think about things. But again, our doctor just seemed so even keel about everything that it didn't seem like the biggest deal if we went ahead and did Pitocin, because he said he's done this multiple times and it didn't seem like that big of a deal. So he recommended we just start on a little bit more of a higher dose of Pitocin and just see if the baby comes naturally in the next hour. And so we were like, okay, let's try that. So we did a little bit more Pitocin, and immediately as we are jacking up the Pitocin, Duke's heart rate starts dropping one more time. And then that's when Caleb looked at the nurse's face, and the nurse's face she looks at the screen and she goes, that's the worst heart rate drop he's had yet. And Caleb was like, what'd you say?
I just said, turn it off. I said, we're doing this. I was just like, it was so hard hearing that over and over. Like, yeah. So after his heart rate decelerates again, and I was like, okay, if we keep going down this route, like, and this keeps happening, like, how risky is this as far as like, because what happens is when we say his heart rate's decelerating, it's stressing him out. And so there could be complications later on when if he comes naturally, just of how much stress he endured. And I was like, hey, how big of a risk is this? And she was like, she said 7. And I was like, that was way too high for me. I didn't even know we were at a 7.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Because they were pretty even keel about it. And I just was like, turn it off. Turn the Pitocin off. And I think we need to get a C-section.
Yeah, so basically, now we've stopped that. We looked at each other. I started to cry a little bit because I just, wasn't planning on that. But I also was just like, okay, if this is
a healthy baby was all
what is, if this is what is best for Duke, and if this is what's going to get him out safely, because after the doctor came back and was like, hey, what do you want to do? I said, okay, so this Pitocin isn't working, but like if we were to go down that route, what would that look like? And he was like, well, basically I would get my tools and I would yank your baby out of you, and that would increase chances of brain bleeds and brain damage. And we were like, nope, we are not doing that. And so looked at Caleb, and honestly, Caleb, I think his face is what told me everything I needed to do. He looked so worried, so concerned. The nurse looked super worried. Caleb starts to get very, emotional, and he looks at me and just comes to me and he's like, babe, I really think the C-section is the way to go. And I just prayed and I just said, Lord, if this is what you want me to do, then I'm okay to do it. Let's do it. And I just basically had to rip up my entire birth plan. And and the doctors have to see you verbally say, okay, I'm willing to do a C-section or whatever. And again, I'm not bashing on C-sections because I know many people, this is the only way they can do it, or this is their preference.
And thank God for C-sections.
And also, thank God for them. And so, I looked at the doctor and I said, okay, whatever we need to do to get Duke to get out healthy, let's do it.
Okay. Had some complications. Baby is okay for now. His heart rate isn't handling the contractions very well, so we are going back for an emergency C-section.
Not what we planned, but we're trusting the Lord, and we prayed, and I did everything I could on my own, and
And so literally it's crazy. The second you say yes, I consent, it's like everything just ramps up.
It's like Grey's Anatomy. It's like you're immediately they're wheeling you to the OR.
Yeah, immediately, all these doctors come flying in. They're jacking up your epidural. They're numbing you even more. Everyone's coming in, doing all these... honestly, it feels like such a blur to me because it all happened so fast. And I was just crying because I was so worried, like, is he okay? Like, is this, I was just getting really, really nervous if he was okay. And so I was getting very emotional, and like, I literally cannot feel the lower half of my body. And everything was just like going so fast. They immediately hand Caleb this outfit. They put this net on me.
I forgot to add one thing. Sorry to interrupt you. One of their other concerns, besides just the heart decelerations, they were worried that the umbilical cord was tangled around his neck. Because they were like, that could be a reason. We later found out that wasn't. That was never an issue. His umbilical cord was fine. But they were concerned that was a reason why he was having heart decelerations.
Yeah.
At the time.
Oh, and also let me add too, before getting a C-section, my doctor was in my room for like a good bit, like we found out that he wasn't even faced the right direction. So my doctor was literally up there trying to spin my baby's head around and get him into the right position. And he was not even low enough. My cervix was soft enough, but they were like, he's not even in the birth canal. Like, he's not even low enough to come on his own. Yeah. That was super discouraging for me because, again, I was just like, I'm so confused how my water broke and I'm dilated and all these things, but yet he's like not even low enough to come. And so for a good 30 minutes, they were putting me in all these different positions and they were checking, and my doctor was doing whatever he could to try to get the baby to come, and he just wasn't coming. Little Bubba did not want to come that way. He was like, this is how I'm coming, I'm going to tell you. So basically then again, C-section, all this stuff is just happening so fast. They transfer me, they put me in another bed, they're rolling me to another room. I go into this new room, and it's like the brightest room literally ever, lights everywhere. Caleb couldn't come in the room with me. I'm so emotional.
Eventually I could.
Yeah, he wasn't there for the first 10 minutes as they're preparing everything. And I'm just like hysterically crying. I didn't even know why. It was just very emotional. It was happening so fast. And I was again scared about him, and it was just a lot of emotions. So finally Caleb comes in the room. I see him, which just gave me some peace, and I'm just like starting to calm myself down. They've completely numbed me up, and they're like, okay, mama, like just letting you know, we're about to start going in. And I just feel like, I don't feel the pain, but I feel all this like pressure on my stomach. And they're like, your baby's coming soon, your baby's coming soon. And they're like cutting me open. I can feel them like pushing on my stomach, and I literally feel this like release. And it was the craziest feeling. It was so insane. And I mean, I can't see anything. I can only feel it. And I'm looking at Caleb, and you're like emotional, and Caleb was filming as well, which it's the craziest video watching the baby come out of me. It is so insane. And then they're like, he's here, and you hear him crying.
He's down there,
He's coming, baby.
I'm down there. First, I was nervous. Yeah, and when I was an intern, I was only.
Oh my gosh.
And that was, so because Duke had gone through so much stress and so much, they were just like, when he comes out, we're going to be able to know pretty much everything. And just to hear him cry, because that's like such a good sign.
Yeah.
If a baby's not crying when they come out of the womb, usually something's wrong. And so he was way
Oh my gosh, the second he came out, and I started bawling. Oh my gosh.
But they had to take him immediately to get him checked and to hook him up to everything. And
we met Duke finally. Duke Ward, born on 5/25/25. I love him so much.
Baby boy today. Just leave it on until you guys are discharged. Put him up because he is a little bit chilly. He's so soft. You want to make sure he's warm, okay? If he gets
at the time, so they move him over, they get his temperature, everything. He needed some oxygen for like a couple minutes, but we were able to hold him.
Yeah, I know. So I just need you to get independent here for a little bit. Yeah,
He's doing good. He is a little bit chilly, so it's very important that we keep him warm, okay?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but I wanted to, again, every mom and what I wanted the delayed cord clamping. I wanted skin to skin. I wanted to immediately hold him. I didn't get that experience, unfortunately. But obviously, again, they had to make sure that he was okay. And so they pulled him out of me, and they were like, here's your son. And they show him to me, and oh my gosh, you can't even describe the feeling of seeing your baby for the first time.
It's so surreal.
And you're like, that thing was inside me. It is the craziest.
I mean, he had I wasn't prepared for the cone head.
His head was so like.
But it changes pretty drastically.
Yeah.
And it just was so surreal because they have blood on them and they.
Yeah.
It was so amazing.
When I heard him cry and then I saw Caleb with him and then they handed him to me for a second so I could hold him and see him. Oh my, I could start crying now. It was just the most like amazing feeling in the world. I can't even begin to describe it. And like, even though it didn't go as I planned, I think just like once we saw him and I saw he was healthy and he was so cute, I was just like, I don't care about my stupid birth plan. Like at the end of the day, I just wanted him to be happy and safe, and he was. And it was just like the craziest experience. It was so crazy. And I look back at the photos and I still like, I weep every single time.
I put my finger, he was in the incubator, and I put my finger next to his hand, and he
held on to his finger.
He just grabbed it. We'll show the photo right there.
It was so cool.
And it was so sad. Like, I just wanted to grab him and just hand him to you immediately. But once they got him checked and everything, I was able to hand him back off to you. So when he came out, they put him in the incubator. He was 5 pounds. 15 ounces, born in 2025.
On 5/25.
That is insane.
Like the dream said. Crazy.
But they were a little concerned because he was pretty underweight.
He was so little.
They put us into the post-recovery room. So they wheeled us into the recovery room. You were really delirious at this point.
I was so out of it. I don't remember literally half the stuff. The only way I'm able to kind of know what was going on is because Caleb documented everything so well, and I've looked back at the photos and the videos. Yeah. But I mean, I couldn't have pieced the stuff together by myself.
You're okay, honey. Is he okay?
Yeah, he's good. I'll listen to him and take his temperature here soon.
I was right here for you. He's so cute.
But we thought we were going to be able to sleep with him that night. We were like, they were talking like everything was okay. He was doing pretty good. He was a little cold. He was at,
and he was so little.
97 degrees. And things took a turn. They measured his blood sugar, and it was at a 15.
Which we didn't know what that number meant, but that's apparently extremely
really
low, dangerously low.
They told us that's a type of level that could be in a diabetic coma.
Yeah.
And they really want him to be in the 60s to 70s. But the nurse was trying not to freak us out, so she was like, "Okay, this is normal for a very for an underweight baby." And later we found out that it's not normal. She just wasn't trying to freak us out, and so we gave him glucose. We fed him. We tried to get it up, and it was staying around the 20s. And that's when they were like, "Okay, you guys go to bed. We're gonna take him into a different room. We're gonna try to heat him up and give him more glucose and try to get his blood sugar back up." And that's when they called me around 5 a.m. Jeanine was passed out asleep.
Which stinks because I didn't know that he was going through all of this. Like, I had done some skin to skin. I tried to feed him, fell asleep. I could not keep my eyes open. And they called Caleb in the middle of the night.
And they were like, "Hey, we're going to need to transfer him to the NICU. His blood sugar levels aren't getting any better. And he's honestly really cold, which is making his blood sugar not get better." And then it was just like one thing was affecting the other, and it was just getting worse. And so I was delirious. So when they were like, "We're going to send him to the NICU," I was like, "What? Well, what do you mean?" Like, I could not comprehend.
Because they called you at 5 a.m. too, and we were both so out of it and so tired.
I don't even know how the phone, the phone call ended, but I don't remember how it ended or what I said. And so the next thing I know, they're in our room with him, and they're like, "Hey," they're like waking me up, and they're like, "Hey, like, we need to take him to the NICU. Will you follow us? Jeanine needs to stay here and get sleep." And I'm like, yeah, I'll follow you guys. And I finally woke up, and we were almost to the NICU. And I was like, I turned to the nurse. I was like, "Hey, did we talk on the phone?" And she was like, yeah, I think you were pretty asleep. And so now I'm in the NICU with Duke and the nurses, and for about an hour, they're just going through like what they're doing, what their concerns are. And it's just, for me, it's like not computing. I'm like, they would tell me something and I'd be like, okay, is he going to die? Like, is he okay? And I just feel like they didn't really know, and they were trying to give me answers, but like it just was so scary.
Yeah. And I woke up and the baby wasn't there. Like, I woke up and I was like, where's Duke?
And I did tell her we were taking him to the NICU, but I don't think you were.
I do not remember that at all. But I remember just waking up and being like, where's the baby? And you were like, he's in the NICU. And we didn't realize it was, again, that severe. And I think we chatted, and we ended up chatting with some of the nurses, because we realized that like there just wasn't a ton of like us understanding the severity of things to the extent of what it actually was. And I get that that is a strategy that they do because they don't want...
They're not trying to freak us out.
They're not trying to freak parents out, but I think we didn't know what was really like going on.
Like, at the time, I didn't know what a blood sugar of 15 meant. I just knew it was bad. So I'm in the NICU with Duke and the nurses, and finally they're like, okay, you need to go back and get some sleep. So I get back to the room about 6 a.m., fall asleep for a couple hours, wake up at 8, and that's when they called us and told us basically everything. And that's like really when it got scary, because they were just like, even through the night, like his blood sugar is it's not recovering super well. I think it was in the 30s at this point. Okay, so they wake us up the next day around 8 a.m. and we got to actually go see him, and I wheeled Jeanine in there, and it was the most amazing, but also the saddest.
Yeah, it was hard.
Just seeing your baby boy hooked up to all these monitors, and you're just like, we're still like running on 2 hours of sleep, so we're still delirious, and like we're just like, is he gonna die? Essentially, like that's what we just wanted to know. Like, is he gonna be okay?
Yeah.
And how severe is this? And like the nurses, again, just like no one knows. Like, you just don't know exactly like the blood sugar issues, and then he started having other issues because of his weight and different things. And so we got to do skin to skin that morning.
Yeah, we got to see him, and it was honestly very emotional. We both cried a lot because it's just so hard seeing your like brand new baby that all you want to do is like hold them and give them like love and protection and care, and you can't because they're just strapped up to all these cables. And thankfully, like, the nurses were so amazing. I just have so much respect, and I have gained a deeper appreciation for doctors, for nurses, for NICU nurses, all of them, because
the medical system, just in general, like, without doctors and nurses,
we don't know what would have happened. Like, literally, like, we are so grateful, and
they were so kind.
And the NICU nurses were just so like kind and tender to Duke. Like, there was this one specific nurse, her name was Sarah. She was just so sweet and tender, and like gave us all this instruction and helped us like teach him how to feed him and hold him and burp him, and like she just treated Duke like it was her own, and it was so sweet. And so we didn't know how long he was going to be in the NICU. They told us, like, honestly, this could be a 2-week thing. Yeah. And that was really hard to hear.
Because essentially his blood sugar got better, got back up to the 60s, but then he wasn't pooping. His
stomach had 40 milliliters of air in it.
Yeah, and he also was spitting up all his food. And so they were worried that he had a bowel obstruction. They were worried that
something was just not working right in his intestines.
So the reason he was admitted wasn't the reason he was staying. So we were like 4 days into being in the NICU, going back and forth every 3 hours.
Yeah, and I'm like trying to pump colostrum from him. I'm trying to like get my milk supply up. I'm trying to give him like myonutrients. We're trying to do skin to skin, because they said they're like, the best thing you can do is like try to get your own milk for him and do skin to skin with him every day. We were going up multiple times a day and trying to check up on him.
What's the thing that they poop out? Meconium. I think we were 3 or 4 days into it, and he still hadn't pooped out the meconium. So they were like,
probably even longer into that.
I think it was 3 or 4 days.
I think it was like 4 days. Yeah.
And so, we get to, I think it was Wednesday night, and he still hadn't pooped yet, and we were just praying for poop. If we see poop, He's like
we know that things are working better.
it rules out just a lot of things they were concerned about.
Yeah.
And I remember, like it was yesterday, opening up that diaper and seeing the little meconium there for the first time.
Which is so weird seeing that for the first time.
Yeah, and we freaked out. We were
We
like
literally were like, thank you God for poop.
and ever since I've changed so many diapers in the last 2 weeks, and just I'm so thankful for every time just seeing the poop, because you're just like, thank God.
Well, it's so crazy. It's like the little things of like him taking a bottle. Like when we were in the NICU, they were just praying that he could even take 35 milliliters. And so they're like, if he can take 35 milliliters today and consistently, he can get out of here.
Well, we forgot to add, they shut off his feeding. So because he wasn't pooping, they stopped feeding him for 24 hours. He had like fluids running through him, electrolytes.
So hard to watch.
So like you're holding him and he's like, he wants to eat.
He was trying. He's like, I mean, all his little cues. He was biting his hands. He's moving. And I was like,
so
oh,
sad.
I just want to feed you. It was so sad.
You could tell he was starving.
Yeah, and you could tell he was starting to lose weight too.
And so they were like, I think it was Thursday or Friday, they said, okay, we're going to reintroduce food. And if he handles it and he can take it and doesn't spit it up and he poops, has good bowel movements, then if he's good for 24 hours, we'll take him off of everything. And then if he's good for another 24 hours, he can get out of here.
Yeah.
And my dude just
crushed it.
They went from saying 2 weeks to he was out 2 days. 2 days later.
Yeah. And it was just so crazy. I mean, we literally had a group text with my family and then his family and then like a group of just all these people just praying over him every single day. And we were praying, and I would go in the NICU and I would just sit there and I would just, I'm sorry. I would just sit and like hold him and like cry with him and pray over him and worship with him. And it's like so crazy. You're like, all you want is your baby to be okay and healthy. And so it was just so crazy. Like I just remember sitting there and it was like this quiet room and I'm holding my child and I'm just like praying and begging God, like, Lord, please let him be okay. And so we're just so thankful that we had so many people praying with us. And I mean, it was very emotional. We would be in there just like crying together, praying over him. And
yeah,
it was crazy.
And we're leaving out a lot of the details because we could be here for another hour. But like, I think it was Wednesday night, they called us at like 4 a.m. and they were like, he's not good. Like
yeah.
And so to get that call at 4 a.m. to be like, hey, he's spitting up, he's not pooping, he's really upset.
Yeah. We just stopped feeding him. Yeah. Like it was just so hard to hear.
To taking him home on Saturday was like so unreal.
A miracle.
It was
yeah.
Like, it was like your baby's really sick, your baby's not doing well too. You can take him home in 72 hours. It was like,
it was crazy.
It was insane.
Yeah, so we've just been like praising the Lord that everything went well and that we had so many people checking in on us and praying for us. And we were in the hospital for 5 nights and we just every single day, Caleb and I would go together and we would sit with him. He would wheel me over there because I couldn't walk. And
fun's not the right word, but like it's
like a certain memory that like we'll just never forget because it was just, and we didn't post about it. It was just us and our son and we were just praying over him. And even though again this story did not go like the way we expected, I just feel like I see the Lord in it. From us getting inducted earlier, the hospital bed opening up, the dream from my friend, I mean getting the C-section, like him being okay, and just prayer. And
they said that it was really good that we came in when we did. Later they found out that Jeanine's placenta was aging
and scarring.
And so like I was having feelings that we needed to get induced or come in early, and just the way everything happened was just, it felt like just the Lord's timing within everything.
And I think it just kind of like helped me learn surrender and learn that like my plan and my way is not the best way necessarily, and like you can have a plan and you can say, literally the Bible always says like in a man's heart he plans his steps, but it's the Lord who ordains them. And we're just so glad that like we listened and we prayed and we both kind of had an agreement with each other. And thankfully like we have a healthy boy now who's operating as he needs to.
He eats a lot now.
He eats so much now. He takes 110 milliliters now of milk, which is so crazy, and he poops a lot. And so, even though like this didn't go the way that I anticipated, I think it's just an encouragement for anyone out there. Just to like listen to your body and also like trust the doctors too, because they're professionals. They know what they're doing, and
don't compare your story to someone else's.
yeah.
If you have a healthy baby, that's all that matters.
Yeah, and I think specifically when it comes to like C-section versus vaginally, like there is so much debate, and there's not one better than the other. Obviously, my dream was I wanted to push him out because I just didn't really want to have a scar on my stomach, and honestly, my scar is still very painful. And so, but I look at it now, and I look at my body, and I'm like, man, my body did that. Like I had a baby, and he's okay.
And you kind of had a double whammy because you went through all the contractions. And then you had a C-section.
Yeah.
So it's like you had kind of both experiences.
I did. And I wanted to experience the contractions and the labor and all of that stuff. And so I did get to do that. I think it was the Lord's kindness for me to feel peace that we got to the hospital. My water broke naturally on its own. I didn't have to have anyone break my water for me. And so I think all those like little details I felt like were just kind of like God winks for us. And like the fact that he came on 5/25 is so crazy.
We'll say it one more time. 5 pounds 15 ounces, born on 5/25/25.
2025.
Our room and our doctor's room was 2005, and then our NICU room was 5/28.
But yeah, we look at our little boy and we're so grateful for everything. And even the story was like so crazy at the same time, we're like, man, that's the story that we got. Like we wouldn't change it, and nothing we can change, and that's what happened. And overall, like we're good, and our baby's healthy, and we love him so much. And so I think also what Caleb was saying is just try not to compare your story. I remember feeling that way in the beginning because I did kind of have to grieve a little bit of my story because it just didn't go the way I expected. But I look now and I'm like, no, like that's the story that God had for me. And there's going to be so many other stories of women you see. They're like, oh, I pushed him out in 3 pushes. Yay. Like, that is awesome. That's the story that God had for them. And this was the story that happened for us. And so ultimately, like, we have our baby boy home, and that's that. So
it is even hard showing him to the world just because you want to protect him.
Yeah.
But I think, sharing this story, if we can help somebody, just know that everyone has their own unique story. We know there's a lot of people out there who are struggling even to have a baby.
Yeah, so we hope that this story can also just encourage other women out there, because I think the more that I've talked to people, because I haven't shared this story publicly yet, I've just met so many other women that have also had C-sections and it didn't go as they planned, and just getting to bond with other women over that, because there is a little bit of a grieving you do have to process through if this was not what you expected. It's helpful to chat with other women about it. And so I hope that this can make you feel less alone if maybe this was your story too, or something that you do go through down the road. It's been really comforting for me talking to other women in my life and being like, okay, yeah, I'm not the only one going through this. And so overall, like, again, we look at him and we're like, it was all worth it. And I think I just look at him like I would do that over and over and over again if it meant the same thing of just having him here in our arms and him healthy, and it's all worth it in the end. So that was our birth story vlog. But yeah, let us know what you guys think. And
our podcast will start back up in a few weeks.
And once I've healed a little bit more, my scar is still definitely healing, and we're still trying to figure out this new routine. It is definitely a new routine. So we're still learning how to do that. But we appreciate you guys being here. Thank you for listening to our story, and glory to God. And we're just happy to be home with our baby.
I'm going to go hang out with my boy.
Bye, guys. Thanks
See
for
you guys.
watching.
Bye, guys. Let's go hang out with our boy.
Let's go hang out with our baby.